What is up and welcome back, guys. Today we'll be doing another install on Project Daily, my 04 STI. Last video we did some pretty fun stuff. We installed the air oil separator and we're really getting the engine bay ready. But it's time to focus on the interior today. We're going to be doing another really fun, awesome install. So a little bit of background behind this is when I was looking to get my STI like years ago, I was actually looking at a car with these in them, and I'm like, the minute I seen them, I was like, I'm getting these. So it's finally time to unveil the gauges that we're putting in Project Daily. Defi gauges, guys. So these are like, if you guys know anything about like JDM or like any of that Japanese car culture, you know these guys are awesome. So essentially they're electronic controlled gauge from this control unit. So you can actually go and then, actually you can see the controller right there, you can record, you can set warnings, you can do all that fun stuff. And then these gauges actually just connect, they daisy chain from each other and then connect to the controller, and you can actually get all your stuff on there. So I opted with oil pressure, as you guys know, as we put the sensors in, oil temperature, and a fuel pressure. So those are the three gauges we will be running. But you're gonna ask yourself, where am I gonna put those gauges? Because, well, we don't have anything on Project Daily yet. We have that old boost gauge, which will be coming out because I'm running boost on the access port, and it's just not a really nice gauge. Especially once we put these guys in, that gauge has no competition. Or is no competition to these beautiful gauges. Also, I should mention these are all in SI units because I live in Canada and that's what we use up here. They're also in the white LED and they're 62 millimeter. So I went all out for these because I knew if I'm buying these, they're gonna stay in my car for a very long time because, well, you guys know as well as I do, they're expensive. Anyways, so for installing them, I went with, you know, the typical Subaru thing, not the typical diesel truck thing where you put them on the column. You actually, if you guys know, one of my viewers, can't remember his name on the channel. The one with the blue Subaru from the UK, calling you out. He guessed the gauges. He was very, 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 very close. So he guessed Defi Genome or Gnome gauges. Those were like STI special gauges, and they come in something kind of like this. So if I can pull it out here, there we go. So it's what a lot of STIs do, especially these years. 3 gauge pod, right where the clock goes, because, well, the clock on this car, don't need it. It's a race car. Who needs a clock for a race car? Or you always know you're going to get there before everyone else, so it doesn't matter. It goes where that little groove is. So instead of having that, we're going to have 3 awesome gauges. So I also went with white. I didn't go with red because, well, every Subaru is red. And also the fact that eventually someday, I've talked about this, I'm going to be swapping all the lights on the cluster to white, just because everyone's got red. You got to do something different. And it kind of goes with like the Galaxy, like all blacked out theme that I've got going on here. So essentially what's the first thing to do is to wire up our wires. So as you guys know, we have our 2 sensors here. We've ran them through, we've put them on the harnesses, and now we have the connections here. Well, as I said, I'm pulling out the old boost gauge. So we got this guy to pull back through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm essentially gonna tie these, or zip tie these to this boost gauge, and then just pull the boost gauge line back into the car. And while I'm doing that, it will be pulling in these into the car because the guy already cut a hole in that little access part. So we'll do that. So it should be really easy. It's not too difficult. So we have a line here, here, and here, and they're all ran through that little hole in the firewall and into the car right now. So here we are, the 3 lines. Here's the water methanol injection that the guy had. I also removed the boost gauge. The controller's still here, but there's no more boost gauge, so that's all gone. And then I pulled out, there's like a mess of boost lines that ran from around here, and it ran to the water methanol injector and the stuff over here. I took that all out because we're not running those anymore. So now it's time to run these up to here, and then we gotta take out the clock and essentially wire up the controller first of all. But before we do that, we're actually going to hook up the fuel pressure line because that's our last one. So I had to look this up, and it turns out that this is the fuel supply, and it goes to the top guy. So this is the one we'll be essentially breaking into, and then this bottom one, the top one here, but the bottom one here actually goes to your fuel return. So we can actually put that on right now, and then there we go. just toss a hose clamp on there, and then that's all good. So I'm gonna cut this and then install the fuel pressure line like that. So there we go, we have the fuel pressure gauge all rigged up. So all it is a quarter-inch end, and quarter-inch thread. I can't remember, but it's super easy. Just plop it in there and it's good to go. After I did figure out which lines ran to what, but now we're all good to actually work on the car itself. So now it's time to get that guy out. So I have no idea what I'm doing here, but all I know is I gotta pull that guy out. So we're gonna try it, and if I run into any problems, I'll let you guys know. That was a lot harder than it should have been. So these stupid tabs right here, you gotta take off the front and push in here, like push them out and pull at the same time with a lot of force to get it out. But there we go, this is all it is this little plastic piece. So essentially what we're gonna be using is these wires right here, because they provide power, ground, and illumination, so they adjust their gauges automatically. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out which go where, and then we're going to break open the tape and look at the box. The box of goodies. So this is the controller itself. So it comes in with this nice little package. So that's the controller right there. And then what else we have in here is all the wiring to wire it up. And then there's warranty cards for all this stuff. So I believe this is to wire up the controller, which is, nope, this guy. This is a controller to control everything. That's wired separately, so not that guy. This wires to something, but your wires to that. How about that? There we go. Everything is right here. I just needed to read the manual first. So yeah, control unit, the switch, and then this is actually a meter wire, and then this is the power source wire. So it's got a little fuse because you don't want to go blowing fuses, and then it's got these vampire clips, which I'll probably end up using for now until we have a nice soldering iron in this garage. And look at that, it has the wiring diagram right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this open, get my wiring cutters, and toss it on the clock, because really it's not that hard. And there we go, so everything is hooked up. They actually provide vampire clips, which are the ones that let you have a cable pass through and then just clip onto them, like the ones we used when we fixed the Forester not cruise control, wow, command start, there we go. It's the same thing, but since we're just tapping into it, I just used it as a one-way connection, which works perfectly fine. And now we have our 4 connections, so we have power, illumination, ground, and key in or ignition, and then they kind of match up. So the only weird one is the yellow and green to the orange. The oh, and I guess the power, the V12 volt is actually blue, but then the black is ground on both, and white is illumination on both. So there we go, we actually already have power run to our system. So I think the next thing is getting this actual control box in there. It says test and confirm, but my battery is on a trickle charger right now, so we can't do that. But I think the next thing is going to be wiring up all the rest of the stuff. So we're going to run our gauges, oh, where are they? There we go, our gauge wire up around here, and for now I think I'm gonna put the controller box actually just where my deck goes, because we don't have stereo and I don't really need stereo, so that's all good. And then we'll just actually I'm just gonna put this back, not screw it in, and then same with these guys, and then just have this all wired up and wire up the actual box itself. When people ask how your project's car is going, just like that, all falling apart. No, it's actually good. I hooked up the controller box essentially. I just ran it down. There's a nice little hole up through there, so I just ran it down. And now I've got to get all these wires up here. So these got to go up in this panel and then across like those wires. You guys definitely can't see those, but there's wires that run across. So essentially follow the same path, and then I'm going to do zip tie and hook this into this. I noticed these have all the different gauges on them, so as you can see there's a lot of different stuff. So you can run all of these essentially if you wanted, but that's pretty insane, so that's not going to happen. And there we go, 1, 2, and 3 sensor wires. So all I did is I ran them like right by my foot, and then attached a zip tie to the throttle cable, or throttle, so it's drive by wire, so there's a sensor, I just put it on top of there, and I ran it through a little tiny hole down there. You guys won't be able to see it, but I ran it through there, and now we have our 3 sensor wires. So all it is plugging them in, plugging in the remote, and then we just gotta run a wire up here and set up our gauges. So now that we got everything wired up in the car itself, so that includes running the sensor wire through the car, through the little hole in the firewall, bringing it up, and then into the clock area where we're grabbing our power, and then all into where the deck is. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be doing once I put the deck in there, but that won't be for a while because we'll like cut all those wires, because you guys, if you remember, we soldered them on and then I put it into the Forester, and now I just cut those wires, so I have to put the stock harness back on. So yeah, it's gonna be a little while before I get a deck, but it doesn't really matter because this car sounds absolutely amazing. Anyways, it's time to set up this beautiful thing. So if you look, the holes look a little small for a 62. That means we got to break. There's little serrated edges on here with needle nose very carefully, might I add, to fit these guys in. So I'm going to do that stressfully, and then once we get that done, I will show you guys. We will have to do a little bit of sanding, and then really our gauges should plop right in and we should be good to go. I'll show you how the Defi system, or Defi, don't know why I say Defi, Defi system works with the gauges, daisy chaining them, and then that's going to be it for today. You guys are going to have to wait till the first start, which is coming up very, very soon, to see those gauge actually start up and whatever. So you guys are going to be waiting just a little bit longer, but let me tell you, it's going to be worth it, guys. It's really going to be worth it. So what we're going to do is hook this all up, and then that's going to be it for today. And we finally have my dream gauges installed on the STI. Okay, actually that wasn't too bad. But most of them came off in solid pieces. So now what I got to do is I got to sand off these edges here. I'm just going to use some probably 120 grit sandpaper, and then you're ready to put the gauges in. So all you want to do is get these edges off, as I said, off the pieces you broke. You don't want to sand it too far because then your gauges won't fit smoothly. So now it's really time to put this back in here like that, and then screw it down, and then we're really going to install the gauges. Now comes the hardest part, guys. How do I want to set up my gauges? So as I said, pressure, temp, and fuel. So essentially what I think I'm going to do is, if it's facing this way, I'm going to be sitting on the left hand side of it. So essentially I think I'm going to do oil pressure, oil temperature, fuel pressure. Yeah, let's do that. So to install these, you just kind of drop them in like that. Oh, definitely didn't sand enough, I guess. So I'm going to sand that one and then push it in. And then once they're sanded and ready to go, you can just drop in your gauges. We'll press fit them in. And then it comes with these rubber rings. These rubber rings just go on the back. You're definitely going to have to stretch them if you're using a 62 mil gauge, but they just go on like that. And then you just repeat 2 more times and you have all 3 of your gauges set up. These stupid rings, these little rubber rings, are like impossible. But I think it's worth it, guys. Check that out. That looks so awesome. Anyway, so the next thing is really wiring it up. So as I said, you can daisy chain. So from what I understand is we take one of these, we plug it in, so the input is going to be on your channel 2, and then channel 3 is going to go next, and daisy chain, and daisy chain, and daisy chain. And then this guy right here is the one that we run up from the controller itself. And then once you have these all connected, you got to connect this guy to your controller. Now's the moment, guys, we've all been waiting for. As I said, I won't connect it or place it in because we're going to have to wait till the car is fully ready to go, but we will just set it on top of here and see how it looks. And bam! Just like that, guys, look at it. It looks so good. So there's my gauge set up. I might have to move the access port down or something, I don't know, because where I'm sitting is just about in the way of my oil pressure gauge, so that might be a problem. But we went from a single boost gauge, which is now all gone because, well, I can get boost on here, to that wonderful thing. Wow, that looks so awesome, guys. I'm so excited. Come on, this car needs to be done. So I'm actually gonna finish it off in Project Daily, guys. So it's been a long time since we finished a video off in this car. I think it's been 7-8 months now. I don't know, you guys probably look at the latest or the last video we did, but I think it's time to finally finish off a video in here. Even though Project Daily isn't running, it's going to be running very, very soon. We are so close. I have to plumb up a couple of things, put in that rad. Everything's not going to be as pretty as I would have liked it if we had all the time or whatever, but I really just want to get this car on the road because, well, it's finally time. It's finally driving season. They swept up all the gravel. Our compound tires aren't going to kick anything up, and it's finally nice enough to go drive around. So we got to finish this car up. I've got a tuning date all set. I'm going to be taking you along the ride for that. And then we're actually getting a tune-up of X Performance. It's the Calgary Subaru place to go, essentially. I've taken both my Subarus there multiple times, and they've also, Ryan there has hooked me up with some pretty good deals, including these gauges, and helping me find parts and just answering questions because, well, this is my first time doing this stuff, so it's really nice to have someone that's as knowledgeable as Ryan help you. Anyways, so that's going to be it today, but guys, look at, oh, I guess, yeah, you can totally see those. I'm so excited. Those are awesome. So as I said, those were my dream gauges, and it's awesome. It's just such a good feeling to have those in the car. I'm so happy. Even though it was a large chunk of change, I think it was worth it. Anyways, that is going to be it for today, but until next video, hopefully maybe a first start, we'll see. Peace out and stay humble.